I'm not great at telling stories, so I'll just say this the way it happened. This was 4 years ago, New Year's Eve, and I was working night security at a small office park just outside of town. It wasn't a bad job. Quiet. Boring, honestly. Most businesses were closed for the holiday, so I expected a completely dead shift. My girlfriend at the time was out partying with her friends, and I'd volunteered to cover the overnight shift because I figured I'd just sit there, watch movies on my phone, and make some easy money. That turned out to be a mistake. Around 11:45 p.m., I did my usual patrol. Walked the perimeter, checked doors, made sure nothing looked off. Everything was normal. The parking lot was empty, and the snow that had fallen earlier made the whole place feel weirdly silent. I went back into the security office just before midnight. At exactly 12:01 a.m., the motion alarm for Building C went off. That alone wasn't terrifying. Motion sensors glitch sometimes, especially in the cold. But Building C had been vacant for over a year. No employees. No cleaners. No reason for movement. I checked the camera feed. At first, I thought the camera was frozen. The hallway looked empty, but there was something wrong with the image. Like the lighting was slightly off. Then I noticed a shape at the very end of the hall. Someone was standing there. They weren't moving. Just standing perfectly still, facing the camera. The resolution wasn't great, but I could tell it was a person. Thin. Tall. Their arms hung straight down at their sides. I radioed in, even though I knew no one else was on site. No response. I zoomed the camera in. That's when I realized the person wasn't facing the camera at all. They were facing the wall. Just standing inches away from it, like they were listening to something on the other side. I told myself it was probably a homeless person who had broken in to get out of the cold. That explanation made sense. It had to make sense. So I grabbed my flashlight and headed over. As I walked through the snow toward Building C, fireworks started going off in the distance. Pops and echoes from town. People celebrating. I remember thinking how surreal it felt, walking toward something that clearly didn't want to be seen, while the rest of the world was counting down and cheering. The front door to Building C was unlocked. That was the first real wave of fear. I know I locked it earlier. I double-checked doors obsessively. But there it was, slightly ajar. Inside, the hallway smelled stale, like dust and old carpet. I turned the corner toward the camera's hallway. The person was gone. No footsteps. No door sounds. Nothing. I slowly walked to the end of the hall, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it over the fireworks outside. That's when I noticed the wall. Right where the person had been standing, there were scratch marks. Deep ones. Dragged into the paint, like fingernails had been pressed hard and pulled downward. They were fresh. I backed away and called my supervisor, finally getting through to someone. While I was on the phone, the motion alarm went off again. This time, it wasn't Building C. It was the security office. I froze. The alarm meant something was moving where I was supposed to be alone. My supervisor kept talking, asking questions, but I wasn't listening anymore. I was staring down the hallway, waiting to see someone step out. Nothing did. I didn't investigate that alarm. I didn't finish my shift. I locked myself in my car and drove home. The next morning, my supervisor checked the footage. The hallway camera never showed the person leaving. And the security office camera never showed anyone entering. They asked me if I had played a prank. I quit the next day. To this day, I still think about that person standing inches from the wall, like they were listening for something on the other side. Or waiting for midnight to pass. This one didn't happen to me, but I was there when it ended, and I wish I hadn't been. It was New Year's Eve of 2019, right before everything in the world went sideways. a group of us rented a cabin a few hours north of the city to get away from crowds and do something low-key. No clubs, no parties. Just drinks, music, and snow. There were 6 of us total. Me and my girlfriend at the time, 2 of her friends, and another couple named Evan and Claire. Evan was the one who found the cabin. He'd booked it months in advance and kept saying how perfect it was. Remote, cheap, and quiet as a grave, which we all laughed about at the time. We arrived in the afternoon. The place was old but well kept. One long gravel driveway, woods on all sides, no neighbors in sight. The owner lived nearby, according to the listing, but we never saw him. That night started off normal. Drinking, cooking, joking around. By about 11:30, we were all pretty buzzed and sitting in the living room waiting for midnight. That's when Claire noticed the door. The front door was open. Not wide open. Just cracked, like someone hadn't pulled it shut all the way. Evan immediately got defensive, saying one of us must have gone outside to smoke and forgotten to close it. But everyone swore they hadn't. We shut it, locked it, and moved on. At midnight, we did the countdown, toasted, hugged, all that. Fireworks popped faintly somewhere far away, and for a moment everything felt fine again. About 10 minutes later, the power went out. No lights. No music. No heat. Phones came out instantly, flashlight beams cutting through the dark. Evan tried the breaker, but nothing happened. He said outages happened sometimes up there and not to worry. Then we heard the knock. It wasn't loud. Just 3 slow knocks on the front door. We all froze. No one knocks on a cabin door in the middle of nowhere after midnight on New Year's Eve. That's not a thing. Evan grabbed a flashlight and asked who it was through the door. No answer. Another knock. This time, harder. Evan unlocked the door before anyone could stop him. He later said he thought it might be the owner, or someone checking on the power. When he opened it, there was no one standing there. Just the porch. Snow. Trees. Then the knocking came again. Behind us. From inside the house. We all turned at once. The knocking was coming from the bedroom hallway. Slow. Deliberate. Like someone tapping from behind a closed door. Claire started crying immediately. One of the other girls grabbed her phone and whispered that she was calling the police, but there was no service. Evan walked toward the hallway, shaking, calling out again. Hello? The knocking stopped. Then every bedroom door in the hallway slammed shut at the same time. I swear on everything I have that's exactly what happened. We didn't investigate. We didn't open the doors. We grabbed our coats, unlocked the front door, and ran. We piled into our cars and drove until we found a gas station that was still open. When we finally got service and called the police, they went back to the cabin with us. They found nothing. No signs of forced entry. No damage. The power was back on. The doors were all open like nothing had ever happened. The owner claimed he'd been home all night. But here's the part that still messes with me. When Evan checked his booking app later that week, the cabin listing was gone. Completely wiped. No history. No messages. No receipt. Like it had never existed. Evan refuses to talk about that night anymore. Claire moved out of state a month later. We all drifted apart. And every New Year's Eve since then, I still think about that knocking. Because it didn't sound like someone trying to get in. It sounded like someone already inside, making sure we knew it. I've saved this one for last because it's the only story I don't tell lightly. It happened last New Year's Eve, and I still haven't figured out how to explain it without sounding insane. I was alone that night by choice. No party, no plans. I'd just moved into a new apartment a few weeks earlier and didn't feel like dealing with people. Around 10 p.m., I ordered takeout, turned on the TV, and figured I'd fall asleep before midnight. I didn't. At 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was a text message from an unknown number. It just said, "You forgot something." I assumed it was a wrong number. I didn't reply. At 11:52, my phone buzzed again. "You're going to want this back." That's when I felt that little spike of unease. I checked my apartment door, even though I had no reason to. It was locked. I typed back, "Who is this?" The response came almost instantly. "You." Last year. I stared at the screen, waiting for the typing bubble to pop up again. Nothing did. At 11:58, the TV cut to static. Not a signal error. Full, loud static. The kind that fills the room. At the same moment, my phone buzzed again. 2 minutes. I stood up, heart racing, and turned the TV off manually. The room went silent. Then I heard footsteps. Above me. Slow, heavy, pacing back and forth. The problem was, I lived on the top floor. At 11:59, my phone vibrated one last time. Don't open the door when it knocks. And right on cue, there was a knock. One single knock. Not loud. Not aggressive. Polite. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stood there, staring at the door. Midnight came and went. The knock never repeated. After a long time, I checked my phone. No more messages. The unknown number was gone from my call log entirely, like it had never existed. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I checked my phone's message history more carefully. The timestamp on the first message wasn't from that night. It was dated exactly 1 year earlier. December 31st, 11:47 p.m. I also noticed something else. In my apartment storage closet, tucked behind a box I hadn't opened yet, was an old jacket I didn't recognize. Inside the pocket was my previous phone. The one I'd lost on New Year's Eve the year before. Powered off. And when I turned it on, there was one unsent draft message on the screen. "You forgot something."